Great. All right, so just to test the level and to introduce yourself again, please.
Yes, I'm Dr. Michael Leary Owhin. I'm a senior lecturer in urban regeneration at London South Bank University.
And for the record, can you spell your names, please?
My surname?
Yeah.
My surname is Leary hyphen Owhin.
Great. Tell us what you think, what you make of these temporary barriers, at least we believe they're temporary, that have been installed on centre of London bridges this week.
Yes, well, I think after the terrible atrocity on London Bridge, the security services and the government had to respond and respond quickly. So I think these physical measures are a sensible immediate response. They show people who want to do harm to people in public space through acts of terror that the state is prepared to respond to that and respond quickly.
But for the greater city, something you mentioned earlier to me was that you believe that, well, this is going to fix the problem on bridges, but it's not necessarily fixing the greater problem.
Yes, I mean, there are several issues about this response. Yes, it protects people in this restricted space of Waterloo Bridge here behind us. But of course, what the people who perpetrate terror do, they will move somewhere else. So we've seen vehicles driven into railway stations, into airports, and we've seen responses with bollards and physical measures at airports and railway stations. So now it's the bridge. So whilst it's an important short-term measure, what we also need are longer-term and more medium-term measures. So medium-term measures will be increasing the number of policing on our streets. There'll be much more concern with the configuration of buildings as they're built, new buildings coming on stream. I would think some kind of regulatory code to ensure that new buildings and structures coming on stream where we expect people to gather will have defensive capabilities built into them. I think we need to be working with our young people through education to be more inclusive of communities who might be marginalised and feel marginalised. I think we need to be educating our police and our security services to be more savvy with the threats they face. And whilst public space is my forte, and public space is my area of expertise, it's also the areas immediately outside buildings where people gather, inside where people gather, where we need to look at security there. And I think it's not just the police and security services that are important here. We've had a lot of privatisation of security in the last 20 years in Britain. That privatisation has brought private security firms into protecting people at large gatherings, like the Manchester Arena. And it's those security companies that need to see a very wide-ranging review of their services, their employment practices, their training practices, and how they cope on the ground. Because it was really a failure of private security which was partly the cause for the Manchester atrocity at the Arena last week.
London is a city that, well, it's a millennium or more old, but in its current form, it never stops evolving. If you were to build a city from scratch, would it even be possible to make a city fully proof against an attack like this?
No, it wouldn't. We can never be safe in our public spaces and our public buildings as long as we have a democratic open society. And in fact, free access to public space and public buildings is a key marker of democracy. We wouldn't want to dilute that. We wouldn't want to try and roll that back and take us down a path where we have all kinds of restrictions. We see those in totalitarian states. We wouldn't want to see that here. So the answer is that you, me, ordinary people have got to accept, as we've always accepted, that there's some risks in city life, be it from traffic, be it from accidents, be it from natural disasters, or be it from acts of terror. And to expect our security and police and our private security to protect us 100% is unrealistic, but we do have a right to expect that our security services, our police and our private security services do all they can and are not negligent in their protection of us in public spaces and public buildings.
Finally, as someone who's lived in London for a number of years, How did the events of Saturday and the events of March, how did you feel when you learned about them?
I felt shocked and saddened. I cried when I heard about the Manchester event because I know the arena, I have family and friends there. I'm still shaken now, but I'm here. I'm here on a major London bridge. I've not changed my lifestyle. I'll continue to do the things I need to do, to go to the places I need to do, to go to places of work, of leisure, of entertainment, of enjoyment, and I won't change my lifestyle. And I think that most Londoners, most Mancunians, most ordinary British people will feel the same. We feel sad, we feel anxious, but we're not bowed into fear. We won't let cowardly murderers change our lifestyles, nor will we in fact seek to stigmatise and to persecute various groups who might feel that it's people within that group that are causing problems. We will remain an open and tolerant society.
Great, thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Two shot, okay, so just shot, and then perhaps before we finish, maybe a walking shot of you on the bridge, if that's okay. Thank you. So if I could ask you just briefly for a brief answer, what do you make of these barriers?
So you want a brief answer?
Well, but all we need is one of those questions where you see on TV but you don't hear the answer.
Okay.
But yeah, 20 seconds.
Say it again, sorry.
So what do you make of these barriers that were installed this week?
I think that the barriers are an important immediate response by the state, which had to take action in the light of those terrible atrocities on London Bridge.